Sounds great. Sounds awesome. This is exactly what the American working class needed. A swift kick in the ass, you know, to kick them into high gear, to get back to work. Like some of the ways that they are slashing SNAP benefits, for example, is like I think it's like lowering the age restriction of or lowering the eligibility restriction to like I think 55, if I'm not mistaken. Let's cover the girlies fighting now. The girlies are fighting, as I told you it was going to inevitably happen. Here it is. Elon Musk slams Trump's spending bill. He's very disappointed.
Overnight, Elon Musk criticizing the president's massive spending bill, said he was disappointed to see it. Let's go to Capitol Hill and with the latest. Good morning, Jay.
Yeah, Michael, good morning. President Trump has been adamant he wants Republicans united behind his mega bill, full of a laundry list of campaign promises. But one top ally is still not on board this morning, Elon Musk. Overnight, President Trump's biggest ally coming out against his recent legislative victory.
I was disappointed to see the massive spending bill, frankly, which increases the budget deficit, not just decrease it, and undermines the work that the Doge team is doing.
Billionaire Elon Musk, who pledged to take a step back from politics, slamming the president's bill, which was pushed through the Republican-led House.
On this vote? I think a bill can be big or it can be beautiful, but I don't know if it can be both. My personal opinion.
For days, Musk has hinted at his discontent with the GOP bill, but his latest comments underscoring division within the Republican Party over their own.
Why don't you think China's using this as an opportunity to present themselves as more pro-Palestine, at least posture-wise? Wouldn't that give them people a different moralist superpower to look to? They are. They are doing that already. They come out and make statements all the time. They speak at the UN. They actually, they're in the Security Council voting against Israel and against America. None of it obviously matters ultimately. And if you're asking why they're not doing more in terms of like cutting funding or offering sanctions, China doesn't, one, have that kind of power in the global stage. America still has the reserve currency. America still controls all of global trade. And beyond that, China will never do something that disrupts their diplomatic interests ever. They are ultimately an incredibly self-interested nation in the same exact way that America is, and that's something you have to remember. Okay, this is something that I've brought up a million times over. China is non-interventionist to a fault. Their understanding of like global diplomacy is different as well. They recently set up a separate court, so they are already moving in that direction. A separate court that is supposed to compete against not just like the International Court of Justice or the International Criminal Court, but a separate court that's supposed to handle mediation between two warring factions or two parties that have issues. And that litigation is supposed to basically create an alternative to the Western-backed systems that they have, and it's supposed to find a way that like both parties feel. It's supposed to find a way to offer things to both sides and allow them to also feel both parties to feel like they have something that they got out of this. Something similar to this already took place with the Iran-Saudi deal that China presented pre-October 7. China went to Iran and China went to Saudi Arabia and put together a mutually beneficial agreement for both parties. This literally took place. I covered it when it happened. Obviously, post-October 7, things have changed, but it does not matter. The U.S. Wait, what? Oh, no. China's stated foreign policy position is pretty much always non-interventionist, regardless of what the subject matter is. This doesn't mean they never intervene, but it's certainly their posturing. Yes. You don't have to let the guy troll, man. It's fine. He wants to be in here and talk about his favorite neo-Nazi. I'm going to unban him. He should keep doing it. Good job, chatter. We all think you're very cool. It's so sad. I banned again? Okay. All right, whatever. You guys just don't want anybody. I guess you I guess the mod team doesn't like any Nazis coming in here to be like, to openly declare their loyalty to a literal neo-Nazi. No free speech around these parts. I thought comedy was legal. Yeah, we're USA. We're making comedy legal again. I guess you don't want comedy to be legal. That's comedy. That's comedy. It's just dark comedy, bro. Anyway.
Signature legislation. That's billions to renew.
I am now become meme.
Dark construction of the border wall, along with billions more for defense spending and an extension of Trump's 2017 tax cuts, which government estimates find will increase the deficit by nearly $4 trillion over 10 years. But the bill also makes significant cuts, slashing SNAP food assistance and making changes to Medicaid that could lead to more than 8 million Americans losing their insurance, according to early estimates.
Sounds great. Sounds awesome. This is exactly what the American working class needed. A swift kick in the ass, you know, to kick them into high gear, to get back to work. Like some of the ways that they are slashing SNAP benefits, for example, is like, I think it's like lowering the age restriction or lowering the eligibility restriction to like, I think 55, if I'm not mistaken, on the details, where it's like, in the past, if you couldn't find a job and you were 55 years old, but you weren't like so severely disabled that you were eligible for Medicare, okay, you were eligible for like a disability payout, you would still be able to get food assistance, right? Now they're like, nope, get back to work, and your children also have to suffer as a consequence of that, okay? Sorry, sucks to suck. Your children will now starve. Yeah. Kids between ages 7 and 11 can starve as well. That's also great. Fantastic stuff. You know, maybe they should also work, those children. Yeah, dependents are only eligible until they are 7, so that's cool. That's another cool provision here. Hey, we're cutting some of this stuff. Why are we cutting this? Well, because we have to cut this so we can give tax cuts to the wealthy. Are you kidding me? We have to give taxes to the wealthy. Obviously, duh. We have to give taxes to the wealthy and billions of dollars in aid to Israel so that they can have food assistance programs over there without ever having to spend any money on their defense, because we got that shit covered, big dog. You know, they can have free college. They can have free real estate, as a matter of fact, on occupied territory that is illegal. But, you know, we got to do that. We have to keep it going.
Now, Trump's massive legislative package is now in the hands of the Senate, where Republicans are expected to make significant changes and then send it back to the House. So the GOP infighting over this bill is far from over. Rob, for your reporting.
So today we're honored to swear in Jeanine Pirro, somebody I've known for a long time.
Ay, ay, ay. Basically, what right-wingers think about Europe freeloading through NATO. Why is Elon against it? I'm not entirely sure what Elon's arguments against it are. I think he's just like edging. I think he just like thinks it's not cutting the deficit. He's become this like this big deficit hawk with Doge. I'm Cacius Maximus. I'm Doge. It's not enough. It's not cutting enough. I'm Elon Musk. It's not cutting enough. Billionaire entrepreneur supported Trump, saying he's disappointed with a big, beautiful bill. His CBS interview came out Tuesday night. Trump, speaking in the Oval Office on Wednesday, defended his agenda by talking about the delicate politics involved with negotiating the legislation. I'm not happy about certain aspects of it, but I'm thrilled by other aspects of it, he said. Trump also suggested more changes could be made. We're going to see what happens, he said. It's got a way to go. Musk's concerns are shared by some Republican lawmakers. Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson said he was pretty confident that there was enough opposition to slow this process down until the president, our leadership, gets serious about reducing spending. Yeah, that's what they want. They want to reduce spending. They're saying it's not reducing spending enough. Like, as in, it's not making the working poor suffer harder, okay? You don't understand. We must directly kill the working poor. This starves them only a little. It must starve them harder. Speaking at a Milwaukee Press Club event on Wednesday, he added that there was no amount of pressure Trump could put on him to change his position. There was also him complaining about the Doge failures. GOP tax bill helps his biggest donor, Musk, but harms his company, Tesla. There's also, hold on, I think it was 1 second. Let me find this clip real quick. If you want to understand how the Republicans are responding to these tax cuts, okay? Here, let's take a look at this.
After an unfriendly reception in March, he's back again to face his constituents. I'm Alex Whitney here in Seward, where Congressman Mike Flood is hosting his second in-person town hall this year, the first since the House passed President Trump's Big Beautiful Bill. His first in-person town hall in Columbus back in March was rowdy, and things didn't change much for Congressman Mike Flood when he took the stage again in Seward.
Elon Musk and President Trump
is a crook.
Looking into the spending, the waste, fraud, and abuse.
The concerns from constituents were unchanged. Many expressed fears that the impending cuts to Medicaid and SNAP assistance could be devastating for low-income Nebraskans.
This bill is creating winners and losers, and I don't see how anybody could vote for a bill if they don't know who are winners and who are losers.
Flood tried to defend his efforts on the House budget bill, now known as the Big Beautiful Bill, but the crowd was mostly unconvinced.
Even a president.
Do we have a longer clip from this? Because it's pretty good. There's literally like
Take part in every.
There is like straight up. There's so much back and forth on this. Here, I'll play this real quick.
A number of you in this room disagree. Elon Musk and President Trump.
Hold on.
Looking into the spending, the waste, fraud, and abuse in this country is a good thing. It is a good thing. As it relates to medical research and funding, I am going to support that in the appropriations budget. Ultimately, the president has the authority to suspend, but if the Congress says you must do it, he must execute our laws unless there's waste, fraud, or abuse.
Okay, next question.
At your last town hall I attended in Columbus, you emphasized fixing the U.S. debt, as you have here also. Here's where I have the issue with believing that is true what you want. The Tax and Jobs Act, under Trump, added $3.8 trillion itself to the deficit. And extending these cuts, which you have voted for, will add another $4 trillion to the deficit. You voted for both of these, but it doesn't match your emphasis on reducing the debt. Tariffs won't make up for it, because they're either being used as negotiation skills or to help with U.S. debt or to bring back manufacturing or, wait, no, it's back to trade negotiations. Never know what they're for. Either way, it won't cover it. U.S. business is paying, so with all this emphasis on helping the working class and the deficit, why is it that only the rich benefit from this, and the rest get stuck having to pay the debt later, as we do with this bill?
Say that last part again. Sorry.
Why do we have to pay the debt later, as we do with this bill?
This is not going anywhere. Obviously, it's the thing that I care the most about. This bill, while it isn't perfect, is the first.
Look at these paid actors, man.
First time in generations that we've actually made major mandatory spending cuts. We have to grow the economy as much as we cut this in order to get out of this. Otherwise, here's the interesting thing to me though. If we think this is uncomfortable tonight, imagine the day that comes when the bond market and people don't buy our 10-year treasuries. This conversation gets a lot harder. A lot harder. And I believe that we are at least going the right direction by cutting mandatory spending. There is no easy way out of this. All right, next question.
All right. So, Professor Jason Stanley said that fascist politics intentionally distort the source of anxiety, intention of addressing the root cause of hardship. The deficit and wasteful spending are a distortion from the fact that.
What's up, Mr. Hamas Diddy Piker? Guess the ban wasn't long enough. Thank you for coming to the broadcast, chatter. Maybe you can learn a thing or two about what the Trump administration is doing to fucking people like yourself. Hopefully you'll be able to, at least by accident, understand like a little bit about what your future looks like.
You and other million and billionaires are personally benefiting from the tax breaks that come at the expense of social programs and regulations. It is not addressing the cause of our hardship, that is, the president is destroying our democracy by defying the courts and the Constitution, attacking and silencing free speech in the media, allowing security breaches, erasing history, using tax dollars and presidential power for personal gains, blaming DEI and using it to discriminate, and promoting eugenics and genocide, all while showing signs of cognitive decline. Your votes, actions, and inactions show that you are a fascist politician, so please explain how you are...
Dude, these are fucking Nebraskans, okay? At the town hall for Congressman Mike Flood. This is not a DSA meetup. I need you to understand. Obviously, these are some of the most politically active people. No like normal, regular ass person is like going to a town hall, right? But you must understand. The average person's perspective is closer to yours than you think. Okay? The average person's perspective is closer to ours in this community than the way the media represents these issues.
Not encouraging fascism, and are you going to invoke articles of impeachment against Trump?
Standing ovations, demanding articles of impeachment for Donald Trump. Look at the Barbaras and the Debras in this room.
I get that you get an applause line when you call me a fascist, but I'm not.
Oh God, he's such a weenie. He is such a weenie, dude. You're calling me a fascist, but I'm not. This is so funny because you're just broadcasting your L, dude. He's like, I get that calling me a fascist is actually making everyone in the room stand up in thunderous applause. But I'm not. Being mean to me is illegal. Why are you mean to me?
I am not a fascist. I am an American, and I would never call you something like that. But I can tell you, at the end of the day, we have to live in this country together. I have an opinion about the debt. I believe that we need to cut spending. I believe that we need to figure this out before our financial markets fail. And I will do my best to stand up for you and the...
There's nothing funnier than being like, I love Donald Trump, and I'm working to make sure the financial markets don't fail. When Donald Trump seemingly every day is trying to make the financial markets fail. Okay. What is this? Initially, according to a person familiar with the call, Musk urged DeWine to send Ramaswamy to the Senate so the former presidential hopeful could be the Doge point person in Congress, but shortly his actual motivation, he said he found Ramaswamy annoying. Oh, it's awesome. It's just like a sequence of annoying little charlatans, one worse than the other, okay? Every single one of them. Every single one of them is just so awful. It's the Spider-Man finger point meme, but also everyone is just, I don't know who's worse. Elon probably. Like, think about these guys. J.D. Vance, Elon Musk, Donald Trump, Vivek Ramaswamy. Too many big personalities in one room, you know? I think Musk is probably pissed Trump isn't doing more to fund the tech billionaire sitting. They're starting to set up. Have you seen this? It's crazy. What? Oh, Honduras, the private tech billionaire for-profit city in Honduras. They're doing this all over, by the way. It's not just in Honduras.
Tech billionaires have...
This kind of stuff is so crazy, and this is like, they're building like little libertarian utopias all around the world. Or they're trying to build these libertarian utopias all around the world.
Tech billionaires have had a noticeable presence in U.S. politics recently. Some are now even practically running the government. But there's something else you should know about, a project many of them are investing in to create alternative models of governance that could have massive implications around the world. It's got a lot of names, but...
Yeah. Galt's Honduran Gulch.
The idea is the same.
Free private cities.
Charter cities.
Startup societies.
Zones of progress.
You know, what I'm really calling...
It's not BioShock. It's Ayn Rand, chatters. God damn. Some of y'all forget the OG. The OG is Ayn Rand. Is not... Hayır söylemeyin, şunu söyleyeceğim.
For something like tech Zionism.
Yeah, we'll come back to that last one in a bit. The idea is to create free market enclaves with their own rules and laws. But is this really a way to jumpstart innovation and bring prosperity to developing countries as its proponents claim? Or is it just another scheme for the wealthy to skirt regulations and taxes and get even richer? Billionaire tech powerhouses like Peter Thiel and Elon Musk champion these kinds of cities, as do others in President Donald Trump's inner circle. Trump even campaigned on building privatized cities on U.S. federal land.
These freedom cities will reopen the frontier.
There are many of these kinds of semi-autonomous cities around the world, and in late 2023, I visited the most controversial one here on this small Honduran island. It's called Prospera.
I think one of the funniest parts about this is that you might think this is new, okay? It's not. Libertarians have tried and failed to do this a million times over, okay? They've tried it with company towns. Much more successful titans of industry like Henry Ford have tried to do this with company towns, and it's failed. And in many circumstances, they try to build this stuff, and then it just collapses because it's just completely unsustainable. I don't think there's any way to like successfully build something like this. I don't think you can do that. You can't like maintain it with crypto. You can't. Because at the end of the day, you need human beings. You need like slaves, okay? You need human beings to work. And they are always going to outnumber the bosses, okay? And that kind of, this is, what's it called? It's like the theory that in the aftermath of a nuclear holocaust, like it's like Fallout, right? If you have these little bubbles in the that all the mega wealthy go to in the aftermath of the Holocaust, the nuclear Holocaust, that they would not be able to survive because there would be mutiny, right? Like if you had these vaults, there would be too much mutiny, and ultimately the majority that is supposed to be working inside of the vaults for the super wealthy would immediately pick up on the awesome power that they wield by sheer numbers. Okay? Because in a dynamic that is that small and that isolated, class consciousness immediately picks up. Immediately. It's like impossible to deal with that sort of thing, which is why all of these structures inevitably fail. They're always bound to fail.
Prospera is building the future of human governance, privately run and for profit.
If the people of the world do not like their governments, welcome here.
Companies based in Prospera pay low taxes and can create their own regulatory frameworks. And that's why it's become a hub for experimental medical procedures not approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
I came to Honduras with the intention of editing and altering my genetic makeup.
I've gotten in the habit of getting crazy medical treatments that are only available in Prospera.
I also recently got myself like an implant into my hand here. You can program several things into it, like opening a Tesla car.
This is the type of person we exist to attract, right? Someone who's trying to do good in the world. That is very hard to do because of regulatory roadblocks.
Prospera has raised over $150 million in investments. And some of the names behind that funding are prominent U.S. billionaires and Trump backers. PayPal founder Peter Thiel, venture capitalist Mark Andreessen, and OpenAI's Sam Altman. Crypto company Coinbase has also invested. But this so-called libertarian crypto utopia has generated major backlash. Many Hondurans see Prospera's ability to incorporate land and create its own laws as a threat to the country's sovereignty.
This is like a new form of colonization. It's unfair for foreigners to come to Honduras and build and do whatever they want.
Even though previous Honduran leaders cleared the way for these private cities, the current one has impeded their development and is trying to fully dismantle them. In response, Prospera's mostly American investors are suing Honduras.
A gay fascist crypto kingdom sounds like heaven. Yeah, run by slaves too. Like it would have to operate as a slave colony.
For Get this, almost $11 billion. That's nearly 2/3 of its national budget. How is it not exploitative for mostly American investors to come after such a poor country like Honduras for almost $11 billion?
They're not coming after a poor country. They're coming here to invest, to create jobs.
Since I visited, Prospera's legal future continues to hang in the balance. But here's the thing. What I learned about the fight brewing over this one private city in Honduras gives us a lot of insight into the future of private governance around the world and how local communities could be affected. This is a very simple village, and you're up against this multi-million-dollar project.
It's not fair.
White colonizers said the exact same shit to apologize for the transatlantic trade slave, by the way.